Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I welcome you all to the engagement session and community briefing on the Proudly Muslim and Black projects. My name is Rashida Hassan, an Assistant Secretary General with MCB. The Muslim Council of Britain, in partnership with the Everyday Muslim, started on the Proudly Muslim and Black journey about 12 years ago. About 2 years ago, and a lot has happened from then till date. The killing of George Floyd at the hands of police and the subsequent outpouring of global outrage and action has only spurred us on. Today's session is to share with you what we have been doing, highlight what we hope to achieve, and seek your support, contributions, and cooperation to achieve the change we envisioned in our Muslim communities, as well as the general British community. This session is going to be for an hour and will be live streamed on MCB Facebook. To ensure we have a smooth conversation with little or no distractions, may I appeal that all meeting participants keep our microphone muted and camera off throughout the duration of the session. We would have a feedback and question and answer at the end, in which you will be able to ask your question, and we will endeavor to take as many questions as time permits. Kindly submit your questions in the chat facility. For those watching the live stream, we will endeavor to address your comments and contributions too. We now move straight to the MCB vision, our commitment to tackling anti-Black racism within the British Muslim communities. And this will be presented by the Deputy Secretary General of the MCB, Brother Hassan Jody. Brother Hassan, please go on.
For that, and welcome everybody who's just joined us on Zoom and also watching on Facebook Live as well. I'll be very brief. There is a difference between values and actions. For example, saying that you are committed to to tackling anti-Blackness and racial justice is one thing, but acting upon it is very different. And at the Muslim Council of Britain, we have been guilty in the past of saying things, but not acting upon them. As a case in point, several organizations from the mainly Black Muslim communities were involved in MCB's founding back in 1997. But it is only more recently in the last 2 to 3 years that we've had more and more Black Muslims involved or becoming involved in the MCB's leadership team. And today we have 2 out of the 12 executive committee members who are of African and Afro-Caribbean heritage, and hopefully that can be more in future. But sadly, there are still many mainstream Muslim organizations who don't have a single Muslim of African or Afro-Caribbean heritage in their leadership teams, despite African and Afro-Caribbean Muslims making up 10% of Muslims in the UK, according to the last census in 2011. And no doubt those numbers will be slightly different when the next census happens in March 2021 next year. And I think I'm a strong believer that only by showing leadership in this space, working and engaging with individuals and organizations such as yourselves joining this call today through projects like Proudly Muslim and Black and others, can the MCB act decisively and effectively to tackle anti-Black racism and unconscious bias in our communities and work towards achieving greater racial equality within British Muslim communities, which we sadly have a long way still to go. Our journey has begun and much more work is still needed, but I'm confident that together, inshallah, we can deliver on that transformational change that we all wish to see. So today's session is just another step in that journey, and we thank you for taking part and for guiding and steering what we're doing in this space, and we look forward to your comments and questions and discussion. And at the end of the day, ultimately, the MCB exists only to serve you, our members, and our wider Muslim communities. So Jazakallah, and I look forward to the rest of today's session.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brother Hassan, for that. And I'll just go on, straight to talk about the overall objective of the Proudly Muslim and Black initiative of the MCB. The objective is to foster relationship with the Black African and Afro-Caribbean Muslim community, and to actually highlight the experiences of the Black Muslim community and promote the tackling of anti-Blackness and racism within the Muslim community, and of course within the general British community. So the Muslim Council of Britain, through the Proudly Muslim and Black project, is working to, we are working to actually achieve certain outputs that we hope would help us to achieve this objective. So there are basically three important outputs that we want to tell you about. We hope to do a report that highlight the experiences of the Black Muslim community in the UK, and also we hope to produce an online portal that would be a great resource to showcase the works of Black Muslim community, the issues around Black Muslim communities, and all that. You would, in the course of this session, hear more about the report, the online portal, and of course our intention to have more stakeholders engagement through workshops, through trainings, and you know, actually tackling all those difficult questions. And in doing that, the actions that we intend to take include initiating working groups, which you would hear about, as I said, as we go on. And also we are collaborating with organizations like the Everyday Muslim Archive Initiative, as well as the Black Muslim Forum, on different projects. With Everyday Muslim Archive Initiative, we are collaborating on the writing of the report. And the reason we are here today is to ask, you know, some of you here to be part of that journey, and so that we can achieve all our objectives. Also, we are hoping to launch a racial equality project that would seek to tackle the questions of anti-Blackness, specifically within the Black Muslim community. And we would get to the point where we would tell you exactly how you can be part of all these highlighted outputs through the Proudly Muslim and Black project. And at this point, I will call on Sister Sadia, who is from Everyday Muslim, to talk about the reports a bit more. Sister Sadia, please.
Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm going to quickly start with an overview of the Everyday Muslim heritage work that we do for those that are not familiar with our work. Everyday Muslim was founded in 2013 to address the absence of the Muslim narrative in British history and also in the archives. To date, since then, we've collected over 100 oral history interviews, several hundred photographs, and thousands of historical documents that date back to 130 years ago. We began our engagement with the Black Muslim community in, there you go. So we started our engagement with the Black Muslim community in late 2015. And after several consultations and engagement initiatives, we held a symposium in March 2017, which was very well attended, and it was our hashtags were trending on Twitter. And what that symposium showed was there's a huge appetite for our communities to learn, and there's a whole understanding of the value of documenting and preserving our heritage. From that, we began our heritage project, within the community. And now we've collected a digital archive which documents the heritage of the Black Muslim community across London between the 1960s to 2017. And now the digital archive copy is available at George Padmore Institute, and it consists of almost 400 items, all of which, well, most of which are available on our website and also on the Everyday Muslim YouTube channel. So anyone can access all the presentations, the workshops, and literally everything that came out of that project. The reason why we chose to collaborate with MCB was in, I think, spring 2018. They contacted us to share their objective to engage better with and foster long-term relationships with the Afro-Caribbean community. At that stage, we were sort of nearing the end of the Heritage Project, and we had also identified the need to continue engagement and include something beyond the themes of heritage to affect positive changes within the African and Afro-Caribbean community and foster better relations with the broader Muslim community. So we invited the MCB, Rashida, came down, and she presented at one of our last events, which was called Representing Muslims on Black History Month and Beyond in October 2018 at Rumi's Cave. And the event itself was a result of ongoing engagement with the community, and it came back as one of the things that came back as feedback from the main symposium, that people wanted more engagement. They wanted a space where they could express themselves and work in a workshop kind of atmosphere. From that, we began our collaboration with the MCB because at that point it presented a natural progression for us and our objectives, and both our objectives sort of married very well. For the Everyday Muslim, it's a collaboration, which means that we can engage with a wider audience outside the heritage sector. So it's beneficial for us too. After about 7 months of consulting and planning, we delivered our first outcome, which was the Proudly Muslim and Black conference in, was it February 2019? And then since then, we've been working on several sort of consultation groups within our networks. And I think Rashida will be talking about the other things that we've done in the past, but from that resulted the need, really. Sorry. So from that resulted the need for the development of this report, which is one of the main outcomes we hope will come from the collaboration we hope to start today with everybody here. So the report is really integral to our core objective to facilitate change, both at the community, governmental and policy levels, by highlighting the civil, social and cultural experiences, challenges and contributions of the Afro-Caribbean, African and Black Muslims in Britain. We've had like 24 months now of consultations and listening events, and I think we are now ready to increase engagement by inviting all of you to take part and to be able to focus on specific areas that have been identified throughout all of these consultations and listening events. The critical areas that you can see actually of concern are on screen now. So arts and heritage, criminal justice, education, employment, health and well-being, media and politics. And we're looking at specifically the representation of the community within those, but also we need you now to contribute and share your experiences, and really to contribute by sharing your knowledge and personal experiences within those areas, which we hope will devise a report which sort of highlights the concerns in an informed and knowledge-based context, and which we hope will then lead to actions to changes in policies and strategies that we feel can help build a better, stronger connection between our communities and a wider society. Obviously, the connection between the British Muslims and all the ethnicities within that community, but also to tackle anti-Blackness within that community and highlight more comprehensive social, economical and political needs of the community. There will also be a section where we look at the impact of Black Lives Matter. We'll, you know, I don't need to go over the past few and everything and the events of the past few months. But what has happened is that there's been a lot of positive movement within the community. There's been lots of new initiatives that have been set up. So we'd like you to get in touch and tell us about them. We'd like to feature them because we want to show how the community has mobilized and how they are looking to make changes themselves, but also to highlight what their needs are and what actions need to be taken by, you know, at the higher policy levels. I'm going to now pass on quickly to Sister Basira, who's going to be explaining the next outcome of the MCB objectives.
So the MCB's Proudly Muslim and Black online resource portal aims to act as a hub for initiatives, contributions, for resources, initiatives, campaigns that document the culture, history, and contributions of Black Muslim communities in the UK. And as you can see, we have mentioned some areas that we think are important to include. So, for example, policy briefings. This will be taken up by the MCB's Public Affairs Department, and they will engage with the relevant stakeholders to identify issues that are affecting Black Muslim communities in the UK, and in terms of anti-racist educational resources. So this will be, you know, a library of seminal works by anti-racist scholars, educators, activists, to be drawn upon by the MCB and the Black Muslim Forum to form as a basis for our anti-racist workshops. And in the realm of arts and culture, this will be more of a kind of visual library, you know, just documenting the history, culture, and contributions of Black Muslim communities in the UK and beyond. And in terms of campaigns and advocacy, this will include just ongoing campaigns and initiatives that are available for people to get involved with and support at present. And so I hope this gives an idea of how this portal will look.
Yeah, Sister Basira, are you done?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And just to you know, give a bit more context to how we arrived at this point, just as Sister Sadia mentioned while she was talking, we've had series of events, series of consultations before we got to this point, since we started about 2 years ago. First, we had the conference at the School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London, with collaboration from the Center for African Studies. And at that place, we had in attendance a lot of, you know, some of you that are here today. And what we're trying to do now were some of the things that were highlighted that needed to be done, because yes, we've had enough of talking, although we can not, you know what to do without engaging in talking and all that, but we wanted to make sure that, you know, there were tangible outcomes and things that would result in actual real-time change. So we also had an event in Parliament in October 2019 to reflect the Black History Month. And at that event also, it was highlighted that there is actually a need for us to have a platform where Black Muslims experiences can be highlighted, where policymakers can actually seek and find information, and you know, and that's why we thought about having the online portal. However, we cannot do this. MCB is an umbrella body that is representing Muslims, and even within the MCB itself, as Brother Hassan, you know, alluded to while he was talking, there are issues that, you know, needed to be addressed, and it is good that the MCB is taking the steps and first starting with its own self and taking, you know, actions to actually address some of this problem. However, the only way we can achieve what we hope to achieve is if we all work together. And that's why we've decided to approach some of you that are already doing lots of work within the community to, share the experiences and let us put it in a document. That's why we want to have the reports. And also, to also actually take actions that are pragmatic, things that, would address the problem. And one of the things we're doing is what has led us to the conversation with organizations like the BBIB, organizations like the Black Muslim Forum, who has approached us. And because of that engagement with the Black Muslim Forum, we also are proposing to have a specific action-based program that would address anti-Blackness within the Muslim community specifically. And I would now like to call on Sister Sakina from Black Muslim Forum to, talk about this collaboration on that specific output and where we are and how you can actually also be part of this. Sister Sakina, please.
Thank you, Rashida. So, Assalamu alaikum. I run the organization Black Muslim Forum, which was started in 2018. Black Muslim Forum was started in order to help tackle anti-Black racism in the Muslim community. We run a Black Muslim supplementary school in North London. We conduct research on the problem of anti-Black racism, and we also report on injustice against Black people in Muslim society. I approached Muslim Council of Britain several weeks ago to collaborate and facilitate an annual event in the UK dedicated to anti-racist education within the Muslim community and promote Black Muslim culture, representation and dignity in the UK. So far, other stakeholders include Sister Hawa and Sister Sultana. This initiative comes off the back of a report published by Black Muslim Forum. Some of the statistics are on the screen now. We interviewed 100 Black British Muslims concerning their experiences with anti-Black racism in the British Muslim community. And it included their suggested solutions, which was awareness raising and education, a solution to anti-Black racism in the UK Muslim community. So the collaboration with MCB also comes obviously off the back of the aftermath of George Floyd and the global protest that ensued. The vision for the event that we would like to collaborate on in November is to develop a British Muslim community that is well informed, sensitive to and in support of the Black struggle in the UK, and to increase the incentive for British Muslims to become actively anti-racist in their own subjective capacities. It will be a two-part program, starting with a conference featuring several speakers, speaking on the issue of anti-Black racism and social justice. Following the conference, time will be allocated for attendees to speak, present, and ask questions to a panel. This could, for example, include members of British Muslim mosques who would like to ask advice to the panel or would like to present what they have been doing to be actively anti-racist as an organisation. The second half of the event taking place probably on the following day will be an education-oriented event where two pragmatic modules will be taught. So the first module would be addressing the roots of racism, and the second module will be being an actively anti-racist Muslim. So these modules will explore the problem of racism in the Muslim community, how it manifests, for example, racially specific microaggressions. That will be the first module. And the second module will explore social justice and racial equality in the Islamic lens, helping people to follow the example of our Prophet, peace be upon him, seeing social justice as a divine duty, and finally, pragmatic ways to uphold justice that the congregation can adopt to be actively anti-racist in their own lives. The modules we've agreed will be followed by a quiz, and that will be certificated, like awarded with certificate. Also a pledge signed by stakeholders to demonstrate their commitment to be actively anti-racist in whatever capacity. And we've agreed so far that we will market this event as reviving a prophetic sunnah and also a means of beneficial knowledge for the congregation. So far, this event is still a work in progress, so we're open for suggestions. If you have any suggestions, please contact me or Rashida.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sister Sakina. So again, it's all about, we've come to you with this briefing to let you know what the MCB has been doing, what we have been trying to achieve. As an umbrella body, we are only, trying to create a platform for all of us to come together to address this important issue of anti-Black racism within the Muslim community and of course within the larger community. And the only way we can, achieve this is first is to have, briefing sessions such as these and have listening programs like the one we had in 2019 on at SOAS and the one we had in Parliament. And now that we have got to this point, these three important outputs are what we have come to present to you to be part of the report writing, which is very, very important, because when people don't know, when they don't have adequate information about the other, then it becomes problematic, and that's when they start assuming, they start acting from the position of ignorance, and aside from that, they start misrepresentation, and then also unconsciously they start, discriminating, or sometimes consciously and deliberately they discriminate. But if we can have records, and that's why this report is very, very important for us to put together. And we know that for as people who have been in the community, who are working, who are on ground, who know what is happening, it's not just somebody somewhere assuming that, okay, perhaps this is what the experience of the Black Muslim community is. We actually want to bring it together from those of us who are actively on ground and who are doing the work. And that's why we've called this session. And I think now we got to that point where we would want to hear from you in terms of whether you have questions, feedback, and again, I'll call on Sister Nada to help us run through this next segment of the session. Sister Nada?
Assalamu alaikum all, thank you for joining us today. As Sister Rashida said, we will now run through the Q&A session. I think that we all understand the urgency of why we need to do this report, and we would welcome all your contributions. As mentioned in the beginning, if you could put any questions in the chat box, and we will try to address them as quickly and as swiftly as we can. The first question we have is with regards to budget around the work required for the report and whether it's a volunteer work or a contracted position that's being proposed. Can I call on either Sister Rashidat or Sister Tabitha to answer that question?
Yeah, I can take that. In terms of budget for the report, we do have a budget for the report. And however, do we have the money as we're speaking now? No, we don't have it, but we are doing everything to make sure that we get, the required funding to do this. However, at this point, I just wanted to state that it's very important that we are all committed to actually seeing the report happen. So what we are asking you to do now is to, show your interest to be part of the report. And we know that we are working, and we hopefully will get the funding so that we would be able to remunerate if it is necessary and when it is necessary with putting the reports together. However, if at any point when, if in an unlikely situation that we're able to get the required funding, I would still think that this project, this report is very important for us, and we would still be able to get people who would be willing to let us, go on and have the report done, even if it has to be on a voluntary basis. But to answer your question straight, we have a budget. We hope to be able to pay people for contributions that they make if they so desire. However, at this point, because we cannot, because of that, we're speaking with funders. We are approaching people that we know have, great interest in seeing changes within our communities to make sure that this is funded and, we can actually pay where it is necessary and important to do so. But overall, we need to know that Muslim Council of Britain as an organization itself, it relies solely on, on making grant applications, getting people who believe in the objectives and the vision of the MCB, and supporting and stakeholders, people who would know that there is the need to represent and make sure that everybody is given adequate and equal representation. So in the same vein, we would hope that we would get the necessary funding, but at the moment, as I'm speaking with you, right now, we have applied to funders. We are hoping to get positive response, but I can say to you that we don't have the money right now that we can say, okay, yes, we are paying everybody, don't worry. No, that is not the case, but we do hope to be able to pay. I don't know if anybody wants to add anything from the panel to what I've said.
Sister Tabitha, would you like to reiterate what Sister Rashida has just gone through?
Alhamdulillah, I think that was very thoroughly answered. Thank you for that, Sister Rashida. My name is Tabitha. I'm from the Public Affairs Department at the Muslim Council of Britain. To reiterate, we are actively working towards securing funding opportunities and speaking to multiple stakeholders in this vein. Inshallah, it is our absolute endeavour to be able to provide some semblance of remuneration for contributors to the Proudly Muslim Black 2020 report. We are acutely aware of the fact that this is labour, and we do not want to be in a position whereby we are taking advantage of anyone's labour whatsoever. So inshallah, may the Almighty give us strength to persevere and make this happen so that nobody is taken advantage of in any way, shape or form.
Jazakallah khair, both for that comprehensive answer. The next question I have is on anti-Blackness and whether there's an interest of looking at anti-Blackness structurally within the broader UK communities outside of just the Muslim community, and whether this is something that we're going to look at within the report. Can I call on Sister Sakina to just give a brief answer to that question, if that's okay?
I think that looking at it structurally, structural racism in the UK operates a lot differently to racism within the British Muslim community. We have issues with Arab supremacy, also Asian supremacy, that is not necessarily mirrored in the general UK community. So I think if we start with looking at racism within the Muslim community, that will help us to address the immediate problems rather than looking at it at a macro perspective. So I'm of the opinion that we should look specifically within the Muslim community as a start.
Maybe I can just, come in there. As I said, the MCB is an umbrella body, and we are trying as much as possible to, engage with different stakeholders to see how we can tackle the issues. So aside from the Black Muslim Forum, I think we've been in conversation with some other groups and organizations who are also looking at it, not only from the Black Muslim, from the Muslim anti-Blackness within the Muslim community itself, but looking at it from a general angle, and approaching it from the point of view of the entire British community. And as I said, this is also a work in progress. So we are open to suggestions on how this can be done. And also, we as I said, we are talking with some specific organizations, and possibly we would come out with something that would also address that, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you. Jazakumullah khair. The next question was on the deadline date for the contributors to provide their articles and think pieces. Could you, Sister Rashida, maybe elaborate on that in terms of timeline for the production of work for the report?
So what we have planned is that after today's session, and you would see that we would give some time for people to actually sign up today. We have a Google form that Sister Nada will administer and tell you how to actually sign up. And immediately after that, we hope to have a contributors briefing session the week following this. So that will be next week after this session. And at that point, we would determine the specific deadlines. But what we hope to achieve is to have the report ready by the end of September for a launch during the, because inshallah, we hope to have a Black Muslim Youth Conference sometimes in October. So if we have the report ready by September, inshallah, then we would have the launch of the report by October, Black History Month. So that's like the kind of timing. But in terms of specific date and time and all that, that will be determined alongside with contributors when we have that briefing session, inshallah.
Inshallah. Next question, if I can call on Sister Sadia to answer. The question is, how can we change the narrative for the next generation so that Black people can celebrate their achievements rather than being known only as the victims of oppression and racism?
Oh God, that's such a heavy question.
I think maybe if you elaborate a little bit more on what the Everyday Muslim work has been doing in terms of
absolutely
documenting.
Oh gosh, yeah. Can you repeat the question?
So the question is, how can we change the narrative for the next generation of Black people so that they are celebrated rather than being seen as victims of oppression and racism in society?
For the very reason that we focused on the community. So with the first project that we did was very South Asian, because I started with what I knew. So that was my community. But very, very soon I realized that the lack of representation of the Black Muslim community within the heritage space, but within the Muslim community as a whole in different areas, is just not there. And what is there, it's uncomfortable at best. So I think why I focused on the community was really to highlight the diversity of the community. So Black doesn't mean just a person who has Black skin. It means somebody who's from West Africa, someone who's from the Afro-Caribbean community. It's to show the diversity, it's to show there's different languages, different food, different cultures. We come from, well, the Black Muslim community is so diverse, and I don't think that's ever been articulated or related or understood by the wider community, that's not from those communities. When we started working with the community, we realized that actually some of those misconceptions or lack of understanding of each other is also apparent within those communities. So I think knowing about your history and your heritage is extremely important to be able to be able to, for us to learn about each other, but also moving forward. Once we have that kind of knowledge of each other, I think it's easier to be able to express who we are, to be able to have a stake in the community. And I think that's the way forward. I mean, we always think, well, if what's in the past is in the past, but Islam shows, our faith shows that actually we learn from history. The Quran, the Hadith, everything's from a historical background. And if we actually knew our faith better, we'd know that actually African and Afro-Caribbean, or African Muslims especially, have a very deep-rooted and a very important part in Islam generally, and it's not something that we're brought up with. So from a historical heritage point of view, I think that's a good place to start to get to learn to know about each other.
Can I just quickly jump in there? I think another thing that is very important for us to do is what we are, doing presently. We just need to, start doing things. Where are the documentation of the Black Muslim experiences? What are the things that we know about the contributions of the Black Muslim within the communities? And how are we engaging to make sure that people change their perception? How do we make people change the narrative? We can do that through education, and that's why we want to do this. And it can only be done through collaboration, through knowing that we do not, exist in isolation, and we can only work together and recognize one another for our contributions. And if we don't do that, one person will keep feeling like the other is victimizing them, or I am the victim, or I am the. So it is for us to recognize the issue and to actually do things together to make sure that we achieve those changes that we desire.
Beautifully put. Thank you for that, Sister Rashidat. This next question I'd like to put to you, and is a question about what capacity could a person contribute to the report? So in what capacity?
There are two things that we have identified. We wanted a report that could be research-based or academic. That is, in this case, you are specifically given, you're looking at the research from the point of view of data, information, and research and analysis and all that. And then the other aspect, the other way that we would want a report to look like is for you to give like practical experience, people who are working, in these communities who can actually report experiences and can actually give, give instances and reports, on such. So it's going to be both maybe academic or research-based, as well as practical and stakeholders based, or based on practical experiences of people, within the different communities.
Okay.
Sister Nada, if I could just pick up on where Sister Rashidat left off. There was a slide that detailed the structure of the report, or key elements or areas of concern that Sister Sadia talked about. If we could just go back to that slide, thank you very much.
Yeah.
There are several subheadings here. So for each of these subheadings, we would hopefully like to achieve, as Sister Rashidat has mentioned, a more academic intervention that looks at the stats on the ground and provides analysis based on that, and then an associated case study that provides a much more practical sort of illustrative experience of the given area of concern. So this is just a brief overview of that. Obviously, the number of interventions would be somewhat limited based upon what we're seeking to achieve, but we would like to achieve, engage a wide variety of stakeholders. I did pick up on a question within the chat box, and thank you for including so many questions here, asking whether we would be going beyond the scope of our current engagements vis-a-vis stakeholders and partners, and we absolutely will do that. That will remain our endeavour. So we want a diversity of contribution from across the UK. Someone on Facebook mentioned, do you have someone contributing from or participating from Scotland? Currently, I do believe we do not. That would be fantastic if we could link communities.
We do have someone that is here now as a participant in this conference from Scotland, but we can, definitely take more people on board.
Absolutely, absolutely, it would be fantastic. So the more the merrier. If you are interested in contributing to the Proudly Muslim and Black Report 2020. Again, the link has been shared in the chat facility. We can share it again. Kindly register your interest there and we'll take it from there, inshallah.
And while we're on this topic, let's take the next question, which links in quite nicely, which is, can we just clarify who the audience for this report is? So we've mentioned policymakers and we've mentioned the Muslim community. Can we just elaborate on to what context would be the engaging policymakers?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. It's very relevant to clarify these things from the outset. As an organization ourselves, we are an umbrella organization, and the vast majority of interventions we have made over the past 2 to 3 years are based upon an evidence-based report. So we always take stock of the situation on the ground, and we produce reports that catalog and highlight these situations on the ground, the lived realities on the ground, and based upon that, we then determine what our trajectory as an organization is going to be and what our strategy is going to be. So the recommendations within this report, based upon all of your interventions, will then steer the course of MCB's interventions, who we are to engage, how we are to intervene, and the stakeholders we are to sort of engage with on an ongoing basis. So for example, one of the primary and rather impactful engagements would be at a policy level, policy maker level, and feeding into consultations, government consultations, for example, that are relevant to the lived realities faced by Black Muslims in the UK. And then within the wider community as well, community-based interventions, so that this body of work is available to be drawn upon as and when anti-racist workshops are being delivered, for example. So it's a multi-pronged approach, and this will serve as our evidence base. This is what we will draw upon moving forth, hopefully as we grow the Proudly Muslim Black work stream.
Thank you for that. There's a couple of questions I would like to address to Sister Sakina. The first is, what is the name of the Black Muslim Supplementary School that you mentioned in your talk?
The name of the school is Nana Asma'u Community School. It was named after Nana Asma'u, who was a Nigerian princess in the 19th century, who was also an educator, a military leader, and daughter of the founder of the Sokoto Caliphate. So we run a supplementary school for Key Stage 2 students in Tottenham. It's at a Ghanaian mosque, and it started around 2 years ago, and it's been running between a fortnightly and a monthly basis.
And the second question is about, is a suggestion about making or creating a training package called Uncomfortable Conversations, which helps communities to discuss racism in their own communities. Are you aware of anything similar, or is that something that you would want to consider for the
to answer that? That's okay. Sorry that I jumped in like that. Okay, that's something we're also working on with Sister Sakina, and like I said, we're open to more contributions and for people to bring all the suggestions. So we are actually looking at something similar to what that contribution just raised. And Sister Sakina, do you want to maybe answer that also?
No, I think you answered it. So that's the project I was talking about, the collaboration with MCB we're working on, which is quite similar. So if you do want to be involved in that, you can contact Rashida or myself.
Cool, thank you. Next question is on the report itself and whether the report will focus on just the Black British community, or is it more around the Black communities within the UK, which some might not be citizens of the UK, but...
Yeah, right now, this particular report is going to be based on the Black Muslims within the UK. And it's about our experiences and the things that matters to us. And definitely, as I said, the Proudly Muslim and Black initiative is intended to be a platform for engagement with all. So definitely, we are hoping that this will not be the only report we would do, but for now, specifically, based on the yes, we do know that the George Floyd issue has actually highlighted the experience, what the Black community generally is going through. But again, the Black Muslim community is also very, very peculiar in terms of, not only do we suffer racism as Muslims, we also suffer racism as Black people. So we are very specific with this report in addressing that particular issue on this occasion.
Jazakallah khair. And there's another question from Facebook asking whether the report is limited to London or can we invite stakeholders from the UK? And I think we've addressed that the report is open to the Black Muslim community across the UK, and we welcome any contributors that want to work with us on addressing this matter. The next question is, why is the MCB the right organization to be leading this?
I think I'll be the one to answer that. The MCB is working, not just leading on this, but trying to work collaboratively with stakeholders and people who are actually experiences issues as Black Muslims. And the MCB as an umbrella body that have over 500 affiliates, including organizations and mosques that are actually predominantly run by Black Muslims, has taken this on board as a representative organization. And that is why we are not, it's not being done as MCB just giving this to the community. It is being done with the community. So the MCB is, as an umbrella body, has taken this upon itself. And if we look at it as of today, we really do not have anybody doing so. So if the MCB is offering to do it and is willing not just to do it as an organization, but also to do it with us as the direct people that are involved, that that these issues affect, then I think it is a very good approach. And the fact that MCB itself is examining itself as an organization and trying to take action, I think will be a very good example, a very good example for other organizations or large Muslim organizations that are probably not doing anything at the moment.
Agreed. Thank you for that. We had a couple of questions asking about correspondence and contacts in Scotland and whether the MCB is willing to work with other organizations that are working on anti-Black issues. And I'd just like to reiterate that, yes, we are looking for contributors, as Sister Rashida beautifully put earlier. Nobody else has really taken us as forward of a step as the MCB in this area. And that's why we've started to look at this, and we welcome any contributions to the report.
And we do recognize that a number of people are doing things. They're doing great works. And that's why we've got people like those of you that are here today. That's why we've approached you, because what is important is for us to come together. We're all doing wonderful work that are, impacting in our own little corner and in our community. But if we want the real change that we're talking about, I think we can only achieve that if we all come together and we recognize that every single one of us is important in achieving, this objective. And so we welcome everybody who is interested, in getting this done. MCB is an umbrella body, so we should all make it how we want, and we should engage with it.
And at this point, can I just take the opportunity to remind everyone that they can register their interest in participating within the report by going to the link on the screen, and feel free to share with any contributors that you think would bring value, any organizations that are working within the space that you think MCB should be looking at collaborating with. We'd be happy to discuss the content of the report and our work within this area with them. The next question I have...
Say something? I saw something about someone raising their hands and wanting to talk. Unfortunately, I think at the beginning of the session, we did say that if there is anything you would like to say, we would appreciate if you can put it on the chat. I'm not sure we've structured this session to allow people to talk by raising their hands. Because I saw somebody was saying that they've had their hand raised for so long.
Can I just also make, can I ask the next question, which is, what would be interesting to look at is the Islamophobia our Black Muslim community faces within the UK, and whether this is something that's being looked at as part of this report. So Islamophobia.
Yeah,
salam.
Here. I speak from the public affairs perspective, and we obviously engage Islamophobia in the UK muscularly and have been doing so since the inception of public affairs in the September of 2019. The report will absolutely look at the multiple intersections, or the sort of intersectionality of the Black Muslim experience. So not only the effects of the racism faced and documenting and detailing that, but the unique combination of the racism, anti-Black racism, and Islamophobia as it impacts the lived realities of Black Muslims in the UK. So that is very much a component of the report. It's very much going to be something that we will be looking at, inshallah.
Everyone's making great suggestions of areas that we could look at in terms of education and providing commentary. So I'd like to thank you all for that. I'm just trying to see if we have any more questions to take. Please feel free to put them in the chat box. And I'd like to encourage you all to also fill in our form to register your interest, if that's okay. I think, Sister Rashidat, we've addressed all the questions that we had. If I can call on you to give the final remarks and to just address what our next steps would be for the project.
Yes, thank you very much, Sister Nada, for that. And I could see that we have a lot of comments and contributions in the chat box, and inshallah we'll take a look at every single one of them and see how that would help to fit into what we are planning to do. And in terms of next step, I want to say that as we indicated, if you fill the sign up form that we've shared the link and shown your interest to be part of the report, as well as any of the other two projects that we have, the online portal, as well as the anti-Blackness training and workshop, then we would have a briefing session next week to actually look at all the issues that you raise and all the whatever other matter that would help us to achieve our objectives. So if I'm sorry that if you had intended to be able to talk today, we couldn't allow that. But I think when we have the contributors briefing, that would be something that we would be able to all go into full discussion, and you have the opportunity to ask additional and further questions. And then also if you have any question or you want to find out more about what we've talked about today, you can visit the web page for the Proudly Muslim and Black Initiative. And I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule to be part of today's session. And I hope that we would find that most of you would actually sign up to be part of this report and all this project. And I can assure you that the MCB is there for all of us to work up together collaboratively. So regardless of your individual works and whatever it is that you're doing, we appreciate all the work you're doing, and we feel that the only way that we can all achieve together is for us to come together and do things that will make things happen. And that includes, this report that we are proposing. So hopefully we would see many of you, if not all of you, here today at the contributors briefing next week, inshallah. Thank you very much, and may Allah be with all of us and help our community to be just and to appreciate one another.